Why does the Bible say that animals should fear and dread humans? In the span of about 9 chapters in the book of Genesis, we see one of the most dramatic turnarounds affecting creation. In Genesis chapter 1, people were given only plants to eat. According to the story, we were created to be vegan, as surprising as that sounds. But now, Genesis chapter 9 verse 2 says, and I'll quote, "And let the fear of you and the dread of you be upon every animal of the earth, and upon all fowl of the heavens, and upon all that moves on the ground, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered." So as I was carving the Bible, I had to ask, what happened? My name is Francisco, and welcome to Carving the Bible. On this channel, I'm carving the Bible into granite, word by word, and I comment on what I notice as I do the work. So the answer begins with 2 words, fear and dread. The word translated as fear is mora, and the word for dread is hat. They're not synonyms. Mora refers to an internal fear, awe, or anxiety, what you might feel standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon. But hat is different. It's more visceral, more immediate. It's the kind of fear that makes you flinch before a car crash or panic when you're facing a threat. It comes from the root that means to be shattered, and together they mean terror. In short, the relationship between humans and animals shifts from harmony to a sort of built-in trauma. In Genesis chapter 6, creation begins to unravel. The text says that the earth was filled with violence, and God wipes it clean with a flood. But when the flood is over, Noah steps into a harder world. This might be a good moment to read the verses in this tablet for a fuller context. "And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, on the first of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the surface of the ground was dried. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. And God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Bring forth every animal which is with you, of all flesh, fowl, as well as cattle, and all the creeping things which creep upon the earth, that they may swarm on the earth, and may be fruitful, and multiply on the earth. And Noah went out, and his son, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. All the animals, all the creeping things, and all the fowl, everything that moves on the earth, after their kinds, went out of the ark. And Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal, and of all clean fowl, and offered up burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelt the sweet odor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will no more henceforth curse the ground on account of man. For the thought of man's heart is evil from his youth. And I will no more smite every living thing as I have done. Henceforth, all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. And let the fear of you and the dread of you be upon every animal of the earth, and upon all the fowl of the heavens, upon all that moves on the ground, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. So for the first time, humans are permitted to eat animals. But here's the surprise. It doesn't come without conditions. And I'll quote from the next tablet, which I haven't carved yet. This comes from parts of chapter 9, verses 3 and 4. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Only the flesh with its life, its blood, you shall not eat. Here the word for life is nephesh. That's the same word used for soul. In the worldview of the ancient Hebrews, the blood isn't just a bodily fluid. It's the life essence of living things. And that life belongs to God. So there's a tension that's created between life and death, and it's as plain as day right in the text. God allows the killing of animals, but not easily, not carelessly. It's saying, yes, you may take the life for food, but you can't take that life lightly. You may not consume the soul. you must leave the blood, an acknowledgement that this was a living being with the breath of life given by God. This is not a triumphal dominion. This is a moral compromise. Because the truth is that the ancient Israelites ate meat. That's the historical fact. They lived in a harsh environment where herding was survival. Animals weren't pets, they were labor, they were food, they were wealth. And yet, Genesis carries the vision of a mythical time, of a world where animals were not hunted, not feared, not killed. Genesis 9 in that light begins to look like an explanation. Why do animals run from us? Why are we allowed to eat them when it seems so fundamentally at odds with Eden? The answer Genesis gives isn't simple approval. It's an acknowledgement of failure. The flood was a reboot. It wasn't a return to innocence. And so God permits what was once forbidden, but only with a warning. The animals will fear you now, and you must not forget that their lives are not yours to own. So here we are, a world in which humans rule, in which we kill but we cannot pretend it's guiltless, in which animals flee and we must reckon with what that says about us. I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a moment. Our modern day factory farming is a horrific failure to remember that animals are also living beings with a soul, who like us are blessed to be fruitful and multiply. Is this how we treat living beings with the breath of life? Is this how we honor their creation? Is this how we acknowledge that their lives are not ours to own? I don't think so. The scourge of modern factory farming needs to stop, even if it takes more effort to treat animals with some respect. These clips are from Mercy for Animals, a group that works to end factory farming. It would be easy to read Genesis 9 as divine permission. Eat what you like, rule as you please. But that misses the weight of the moment. The fear and dread of animals isn't a blessing, it's a consequence. And that's what makes this passage so honest. It doesn't deny the reality of human hunger or the violence in our history. It doesn't pretend that life is clean and harmonious. But it also doesn't let us off the hook. It forces us to see that life, animal life, human life, is never ours to take lightly. Maybe that's what Genesis really is asking of us. Not to go back to Eden, but at least to live as though we remember it.